You're sitting on the edge of your bed, staring at the glowing screen of your phone in a dark room. Your thumb is hovering over the send button. You've just spent the last 45 minutes crafting the perfect message. A massive, emotionally charged paragraph where you finally lay it all out. You explain exactly why you're hurt, exactly how they made you feel, and exactly what needs to change. You've curated every single word so they can't possibly misunderstand you. You take a deep breath. You hit send, and you wait. You watch the little delivered text change to read. Your heart does that familiar, pathetic flutter. You wait for the typing bubble. You wait for the apology. You wait for the validation that you so desperately crave. But nothing happens. Minutes bleed into hours. The silence stretches out, thick and suffocating. You check your phone again. Still nothing. You start rereading your own message, picking it apart, wondering if you came on too strong. You start negotiating against yourself in your own head. Because deep down, your ego cannot handle the fact that they read your soul-bearing confession and simply decided it wasn't worth their time. And this is the exact moment you realize the terrifying truth. Silence is the ultimate insult, and they are using it against you flawlessly. Or maybe it's not through a screen. Maybe you're standing right in front of them. The air is tense. You're trying to have a mature conversation about a boundary they crossed. You're keeping your voice level. You're using all the right communication tactics you've learned to keep things calm. And what do? They don't yell. They don't argue back. They just look at you. Their eyes are flat, dead, completely detached from the emotional wreckage you are currently experiencing. They might give a slight shrug. They let out a heavy, exaggerated sigh. And then, they physically turn their back on you and walk into the other room. No response. No defense. Just an absolute, crushing, void of interaction. And you freeze. You don't follow them. You just stand there in the echoing quiet of the room, feeling smaller than you have ever felt in your entire life. Your chest is tight. You feel a sickening mix of rage and absolute humiliation. Because in that split second, they didn't just ignore your words. They erased your existence. They demonstrated that your feelings, your boundaries, and your very presence require absolutely zero effort on their part. When someone weaponizes their absence against you, they obliterate your worth. Silence is the ultimate insult, and right now, you are the one bleeding out from it. Pause for a second. Let that sink in. You think your words are your armor. You think if you just explain it better, you can force them to respect you. Wrong. Your words are not armor. Your words are a buffet, and you are serving up your vulnerabilities on a silver platter to someone who isn't even hungry. Every time you over-explain, every time you double-text, every time you fill the quiet space because the tension makes you uncomfortable, you are handing over your power. You sit there, marinating in their silence. The anxiety becomes a physical weight on your chest. You break first. You always break first. You pick up the phone. You type out a follow-up message. A softer one. Hey, I didn't mean to start a fight. Sorry, I was just stressed. Are we okay? Stop. Read that again. Look at what you just did. They insulted you with their absence, and you rewarded them with an apology. You apologized for demanding basic human decency. You taught them that their silence is the most effective way to train you, to break you, to put you back in your place. You are desperate for connection, but they are playing a game of dominance. By rushing to fill the void they intentionally created, you prove that you have absolutely no leverage. Because right now, their silence is the ultimate insult, and you are accepting it like a beggar taking scraps. You know this cycle. You know it in your bones. It's the exhausting, humiliating loop you run every single time they pull away. You see the green active dot next to their name. You watch them view your story within 2 minutes of posting. You know for a fact they have their phone in their hand. But that vulnerable message you sent 3 hours ago? Still sitting there, unanswered. So what do? You don't match their energy. You don't mirror their detachment. Instead, you convince yourself that maybe they just didn't know how to respond to the heavy stuff. So you send a meme, or a casual link, or a breezy question. You actively pretend the previous unanswered message doesn't exist. You offer them an easy out, a frictionless way to re-enter the conversation without taking an ounce of accountability. And when they finally reply with a lazy LOL or a single emoji, your chest floods with a pathetic wave of relief. You actually feel like you won them back. But you didn't win anything. You just negotiated against yourself. You taught them that their withdrawal works perfectly, because silence is the ultimate insult, and by double texting to break it, you just told them your dignity is worth less than their bare minimum attention. This isn't just happening on your glowing screen. It happens in the physical world, too. You get into an argument. You're desperate to fix it before the night ends. You operate on that naive, conditioned rule. Never go to sleep angry. So you follow them. You stand awkwardly in the doorway while they brush their teeth. You plead with them to just look at you, to just have a 5-minute conversation so you can both get some closure. You are practically vibrating with anxiety, terrified of the emotional distance. And they spit in the sink. They wipe their mouth slowly. They turn off the bathroom light and brush past you in the dark without making eye contact. They get into bed, pull the covers up, and close their eyes. You are left standing there, completely shattered by the absolute lack of friction. You don't yell. You don't throw anything. You just retreat to the couch, your mind racing, replaying the rejection on a torturous loop until 4 a.m. Why does this happen? Because you falsely believe that explaining your pain will somehow activate their empathy. Here is the uncomfortable truth nobody is going to tell you. They hear you. They understand you perfectly. They just do not care. They are entirely comfortable watching you writhe in anxiety. They know that silence is the ultimate insult, and they are using it ruthlessly to watch you scramble for their approval. Pause. Let that sink in. You are the one who double texts. You are the one who begs for closure. You are the one who over-communicates to fix it. You are the one doing all the emotional labor. And then comes the most pathetic part of the pattern, the illusion of the last word. You finally hit your breaking point. You draft the ultimate, "I'm done" message. A sharp, biting, perfectly constructed final text that tells them exactly how toxic they are. You hit send, feeling a brief, intoxicating rush of power. You think to yourself, I finally stood up for myself. You wait for them to panic. You wait for them to realize what they've lost and come begging for your forgiveness. But the days pass. The silence stretches into a week. They don't block you. They don't argue back to defend themselves. They just leave your grand finale on read. Forever. And slowly, the agonizing reality washes over you. You didn't win. You gave them a massive paragraph proving exactly how much they destroyed you, and they gave you absolute nothingness in return. They kept all their power. Because when silence is the ultimate insult, the person fighting desperately for the last word is always the one who loses. You're sitting in your car before walking into work. You've got the engine off. You're rereading the message thread from last night, scrolling up, scrolling down, looking at the massive blocks of blue text, your text, separated by oceans of gray nothingness. You look at the timestamps, hours between your desperate paragraphs, And then it hits you. A physical sickness in the pit of your stomach. You suddenly realize that you haven't been having a conversation. You've been performing an autopsy on a relationship by yourself, out loud, to an empty room. And you stop. You drop your phone in your lap. Because right now, the fog is lifting. You've been told your whole life that communication is the key to everything. That if you just find the right words, the other person will finally get it. But they aren't confused. They are actively choosing to withhold their presence because they know that silence is the ultimate insult. And they know it breaks you every single time. Here is the uncomfortable truth nobody is going to tell you. They are not emotionally unavailable. They are not bad at communicating. They are highly strategic. They have realized that the less they give you, the harder you work. They have discovered the exact conversion rate of their absence into your anxiety. You think you are being mature by bringing up the hard topics. You think you are being the bigger person by over-explaining. You think you are fixing the bridge. Wrong. You are handing them the detonator. You are showing them exactly where your psychological buttons are. And what do? They don't even push the button. They just walk away from the control panel completely. Because doing absolutely nothing, giving you pure, unadulterated nothingness, creates 10 times more panic than fighting back. Pause for a second. Look at your own behavior. Every time they go cold, you increase your output. You become a word-generating machine, trying to fill the void. This is exactly how silence is the ultimate insult operates in the real world. It forces the victim to do all the labor. You are building the prison, locking yourself inside, and sliding the key under the door to someone who isn't even standing in the hallway. Why does this keep repeating? Why do you keep falling into this exact same trap? You're out with friends. You're supposed to be having a good time, but your phone hasn't buzzed in 6 hours. You are physically present, but mentally, you are hostage to their lack of response. You check your screen under the table. You laugh at a joke you didn't hear. You feel a hollow, aching desperation clawing at your throat. And you do nothing to stop it. You don't put the phone away. You don't match their energy. You tolerate the disrespect because your ego has tied your self-worth to their validation. You secretly believe that if you can just get them to answer, it means you matter. But the mechanism is reversed. The harder you drag, the less you matter. By making them your judge, you've made yourself the beggar. And this is why silence is the ultimate insult is so dangerous. It strips away all your delusions. It proves, without a single word, that they hold all the cards. They don't have to raise their voice to dominate you. They just have to close their mouth. Stop. Stop pretending this is a communication issue. Stop pretending they just need time to process. They are processing perfectly. They are processing the fact that your self-respect is so low, they can literally ignore you into submission. You're standing in front of the mirror. You're brushing your teeth. And for the 100th time today, you're rehearsing what you'll say to them later. You're anticipating every possible counterargument. You're building a watertight case for why they hurt you. You're playing chess against a ghost. And you spit the toothpaste out. Why are you doing this? Why are you burning mental calories on someone who isn't even at the table? This is exactly how silence is the ultimate insult operates on a psychological level. It forces you to negotiate with their absence. And it's not an accident. It's an ancient, deeply wired power dynamic. Let's look at the dark psychology behind this. Think of Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power. Specifically, Law 16, use absence to increase respect and honor. He wrote that too much circulation makes the price go down. The more you are seen and heard, the more common you appear. What this means for you is devastatingly simple. Your constant availability, your endless paragraphs, your desperate need to explain everything. It makes you cheap. It makes your words worthless currency in their eyes. You are flooding the market with your emotions, and they are experiencing hyperinflation. You think you are being generous with your feelings. You think you are being open. You think you are being real. Wrong. You are being common. You are completely predictable. When they go silent, they trigger a primal fear of abandonment. They become a scarce resource. And human psychology dictates that we assign the highest value to what is scarce and the lowest value to what is abundant. They pull away. They become a mystery. They become powerful. You lean in. You over-explain. You become a nuisance. This is exactly why silence is the ultimate insult is so dangerous. It flips the entire value structure of the relationship without them lifting a finger. You're at your desk, trying to work, but your mind is locked on their lack of response. You feel an agonizing tightness in your chest. You physically crave their words, even if those words are angry, because anger proves they care. Anger proves they are engaged, but they don't give you anger. They give you a void, and this void is a weapon. It's a calculated withdrawal of supply. They know you are addicted to their validation, so they starve you. It forces you into a state of hypervigilance. You start obsessively analyzing their last known actions. You dissect their read receipts. You monitor their online status. You have become a detective investigating your own irrelevance. Let that sink in. You are doing all the work to keep their memory alive while they are out living their life, completely unbothered by your absence. You are honoring someone who is insulting you with their silence. Because deep down, here is what you don't want to hear. You are terrified of your own silence. You are terrified that if you stop talking, if you stop reaching out, the entire relationship will just evaporate. You are carrying the entire weight of the connection through your sheer volume of words. And their silence is the mirror showing you that if you dropped your end of the rope, there would be nothing left holding you together. They aren't ignoring you because they're busy. They're ignoring you because you've proven you'll still be there when they get back. You've taught them that your boundary is just a suggestion and your absence is a bluff. You're pacing your living room. It's late. You just sent another massive block of text. And for about 30 seconds after you hit send, your chest actually feels lighter. You exhale. You think, okay, I put it all out there. I did my part. Now the ball is in their court. You feel a temporary, intoxicating rush of relief. But it's a lie. You didn't send that message to connect. You sent it to soothe your own panic. You use your words as a desperate attempt to control an uncontrollable situation. And that's exactly why silence is the ultimate insult. It strips you of your only coping mechanism. Here is the uncomfortable truth you don't want to hear. Nobody is going to tell you this, but we need to look at your shadow. You think you fall for this dynamic because you're just too caring. You tell your friends, I just wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm just a deep communicator. Wrong. You are addicted to being understood. Your ego has convinced you that if someone misunderstands you, you will cease to exist. You believe that your reality is only valid if they acknowledge it. So when they give you nothing, your entire identity starts to fracture. You aren't over-explaining out of love. You are over-explaining out of a toxic, desperate ego. You're sitting at a coffee shop. Your phone is face down on the table. You haven't heard from them in 2 days. A secure person would walk away. A secure person would match their energy and move on. But not you. You pick the phone back up. You check their last seen status. You start typing out yet another question. Did I do something wrong? Are we just not talking now? You cannot tolerate the void. Because in the void, You have to face yourself. When you are frantically typing, you are doing something. You feel active. You feel like you are fighting for the connection, but you are just fighting a ghost. This is how silence is the ultimate insult operates on your neurochemistry. It triggers your deepest abandonment wounds and forces you to perform for an empty room. Let that sink in. You lay in bed. Your eyes are wide open in the dark. You are replaying the entire timeline of the relationship. If I had just said this differently, if I hadn't pushed so hard on Tuesday, you are taking 100% of the responsibility for their absence. You are acting as the judge, the jury, and the executioner of your own self-worth. They are sleeping perfectly fine. You are awake, doing all their emotional labor for them. You keep falling for this because you falsely equate effort with value. You think that if you just work hard enough, they will finally see your worth. But human nature doesn't respect desperation. It respects boundaries. And right now, by filling their silence with your panic, you are broadcasting absolute powerlessness. This is why silence is the ultimate insult. It proves that they don't even have to participate to control your entire nervous system. You take pride in being the communicator. You tell yourself you're the mature one. You tell yourself you're the bigger person. Stop. There is nothing mature about begging a brick wall for empathy. There is no moral high ground in letting someone treat. You like garbage while you write them essays about your feelings. Your overcommunication isn't a superpower. It's a trauma response. You learned a long time ago that if you just made enough noise, if you just explained yourself perfectly, maybe you wouldn't be abandoned. And now, you are applying a childhood survival tactic to a predatory adult who knows exactly how to exploit it. They know that silence is the ultimate insult, and they know you will tear yourself apart trying to fix a mess they intentionally created. You're staring at your phone again. But this time, something is different. A notification pops up. It's them. After 3 days of absolute ghosting, after making you feel like you didn't even exist, they send a low-effort text. Hey. Or maybe they just send a random reel on Instagram. They are throwing a breadcrumb. They are expecting you to instantly transform back into the eager, over-explaining version of yourself. They are waiting for the dopamine hit of your predictable, desperate response. But you don't give it to them. Because you finally understand that silence is the ultimate insult, and it's time to return it to sender. You open the message. You let the read receipt trigger. And then you put the phone down. You walk away. You don't block them. You don't send a passive-aggressive thumbs up. You give them the exact same suffocating void they gave you. You give them pure nothingness. Your heart is pounding in your chest. Every conditioned fiber of your being is screaming at you to reply, to fix it, to secure the connection. But you force yourself to sit in the intense discomfort. Because this is how silence is the ultimate insult actively starves their ego. You are violently cutting off their dopamine supply. Let's look at what is happening on their end. They are sitting on their couch, phone in hand. They saw you read it. They expect the typing bubble to appear. They expect the massive paragraph of relief. 10 minutes go by. An hour goes by. Suddenly, the script is flipped. The psychological power dynamic physically shifts in the room. They check their Wi-Fi connection. They close the app and reopen it. For the first time in this entire toxic dynamic, they are the ones feeling the agonizing weight of the unknown. They are realizing that silence is the ultimate insult, and now they are the ones bleeding out from it. Here is the ugly truth you need to hear. Nobody is going to tell you this, but we need to look at it. When they double text you 4 hours later with a sarcastic, "Guess you're busy," they are not missing you. They are not suddenly struck by your immense value as a human being. They are simply experiencing narcissistic withdrawal. They are missing the slot machine payout of your desperation. Every time they pulled the lever before, you showered them with attention. Now, they pull the lever, and the machine is completely dead. The lights are off. By realizing that silence is the ultimate insult, you have broken their favorite toy. You have broken the payout mechanism. Pause for a second. Let that sink in. You are not playing a petty game. You are establishing a boundary of iron. When you refuse to reward their low-effort breadcrumbs, you are speaking the only language that manipulators understand. You are speaking the language of absolute zero. You are showing them that your attention is not a right. It is an incredibly expensive privilege. You are proving that silence is the ultimate insult, and you are finally willing to use it ruthlessly to protect your own peace. You no longer explain your boundaries with words. You embody them with your absence. You're at the gym later that evening. You feel your phone buzz in your pocket. You know it's them spiraling. You know they are finally feeling the exact same gut-wrenching panic they forced you to endure for months. But you don't even take the phone out. You finish your set. You wipe the sweat off your forehead. You breathe in the terrifying, intoxicating freedom of simply not caring anymore. Because you have finally mastered the dark art. You know that silence is the ultimate insult, and you have finally stopped insulting yourself. You're sitting in your car, gripping the steering wheel. You just found out they lied again, or crossed that boundary for the 5th time. The adrenaline spikes. You grab your phone and start furiously typing. This time, it's not a sad paragraph, it's an angry one. You are unleashing hell. You hit send, your heart hammering against your ribs. You feel a surge of righteous power. You think to yourself, I finally put them in their place. But you didn't put them anywhere. You just proved that they still hold the keys to your nervous system. This is why you must understand that silence is the ultimate insult, not your carefully articulated rage. Here is the uncomfortable truth you desperately need to hear. Your anger is just a twisted form of flattery. When you scream at them, when you send that furious voice note, you are giving them the greatest compliment in the world. You are telling them, you still matter. You still own real estate in my mind. You still have the power to destroy my day. They read your angry text, and they don't feel ashamed. They feel powerful. They know they still have you on a short leash. Stop. Read that again. Anger proves you still care. Indifference proves they no longer exist. And this is exactly how silence is the ultimate insult operates in the wild. It replaces your predictable, emotional reactions with a terrifying, unreadable void. Let's look at the psychology of erasure. The opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. When you hate someone, you are still bound to them. You are still pouring your vital energy into their cup. But when you deploy absolute silence, you are cutting the energetic cord completely. Imagine they send you a manipulative text designed specifically to trigger you. They know exactly what buttons to push. In the past, you would have taken the bait instantly. You would have spent 2 hours locked in a toxic, exhausting argument. But this time, you look at the notification, and you do absolutely nothing. You don't defend your character. You don't correct their false narrative. You just let their toxic little message hang in the digital void. By refusing to participate, you deny them the friction they need to feel alive. This is the unsaid superiority of knowing that silence is the ultimate insult. You are looking at a toddler throwing a tantrum, and you are simply walking out of the room. Pause for a second. Or maybe it happens in person. They drop a passive-aggressive comment meant to humiliate you in front of others. The room goes quiet. They are watching you. waiting for your face to flush, waiting for you to snap back. You slowly turn your head. You look them dead in the eyes. Your expression is completely blank. You just stare for 2 agonizingly long seconds. And then you turn back to the person next to you and continue your conversation as if a fly just buzzed past your ear. You didn't give them the fight they craved. You gave them a black hole. See how silence is the ultimate insult operates as a psychological weapon? It suffocates their attempt at dominance by refusing to even acknowledge it happened. You are elevating yourself above the battlefield entirely. You aren't just ignoring them. You are actively demoting them. You are proving that silence is the ultimate insult by treating their existence as utterly inconsequential to your reality. You are no longer fighting for their respect. You have finally realized you never needed it. You're sitting on your couch on a Friday night. It's been 5 days since you last spoke. 5 days since you deployed the ultimate silence. And the silence is deafening. Every instinct you have is screaming at you to break it. You pick up your phone, open the thread, and stare at the blank space where your usual desperation used to be. You start typing a message, just to check the temperature, just to see if they're still alive, just to end the agonizing suspense. Stop. Put the phone down. This is the exact moment you lose. This is the exact moment you undo everything. If you break now, you just taught them that your silence was nothing more than a temporary tantrum. You taught them that they just have to wait you out. This is the critical phase where silence is the ultimate insult, must transition from a reaction into a permanent state of being. Here is what you don't want to hear. The uncomfortable truth is that you are not fighting them right now. You are fighting your own addiction. You are addicted to the chaotic cycle of over-explaining, fighting, and making up. And your brain is going through genuine withdrawal symptoms because the drama is gone. The dopamine spike of their attention, even negative attention, is missing. So, how do you actually execute the ruthless pivot? How do you maintain the void when every cell in your body wants to reach out? You don't just try not to text them. You have to physically and digitally engineer your environment so that reaching out requires immense effort. You archive the chat. You delete their number from your contacts, forcing yourself to rely on memory if you want to dial. You turn off the read receipts. You mute their stories. You build friction between your impulse and your action. Because silence is the ultimate insult only works if it is absolute. Let's look at the mechanics of going cold. It's not about being malicious, it's about self-preservation. When you feel the overwhelming urge to send that long paragraph, you open a blank note on your phone instead. You type out all your rage, all your hurt, every single toxic thought you want to scream at them. You write a masterpiece of emotional devastation, and then you delete it. You realize that sending it to them would be a massive transfer of your power. It would be giving them a detailed map of your psychological injuries. By keeping it to yourself, you retain the power. This is exactly how silence is the ultimate insult weaponizes your self-control. It proves that you no longer need them to validate your pain. Pause for a second. Let that sink in. You're out with your friends a week later. Someone casually mentions their name. Your heart does a little jump. In the past, you would have launched into a 10-minute monologue about how awful they are, desperately trying to get your friends to validate your side of the story. You would have poured all your energy into keeping their memory alive in the room. But this time, you just take a sip of your drink. You shrug your shoulders. You give a slight nod. And you change the subject entirely. You don't even give them the honor of being a topic of conversation. This is the devastating reality of silence, is the ultimate insult. You are completely unbothered. You are erasing them not just from your phone, but from the narrative of your life. You're staring at the ceiling in the dead of night. Your mind is racing, trying to figure out what they are thinking. You are trying to decode their absence, treating it like some complex puzzle you just need to solve. You tell yourself that if you can just understand their trauma, or their attachment style, or their stress levels, you can finally say the magic words that will make them treat you right. Stop. Get up and look in the mirror. It is time to look at the one person who is actually keeping you trapped in this humiliating cycle. It's not them. It's you. You are the one who refuses to stop talking. You are the one who keeps handing them the knife and acting surprised every single time you bleed. Here is the uncomfortable truth you have been running from your entire life. Nobody is going to tell you this, but your refusal to walk away is not loyalty. It is cowardice. You are terrified of the quiet. Because if you actually shut your mouth, if you actually stop double texting and begging for crumbs, you have to face the terrifying reality that there is absolutely nothing holding this connection together except your desperate, exhausting effort. This is exactly why silence is the ultimate insult, is a weapon you must turn inward before you can use it outward. You have been insulting yourself with your own noise. You have been degrading your own value by treating your attention like a cheap flyer handed out on a street corner, begging anyone to take it. Let that sink in. You're sitting across from a friend at lunch. You're complaining about this person again. You're detailing the exact timeline of how they ignored you, how they dismissed you, how they made you feel completely invisible. Your friend nods sympathetically and tells you that you deserve better. But deep down, you know the ugly truth. You know that you are actively choosing to stay in the arena. Every time you type out another essay defending your worth to someone who has already shown you they do not care, you are a willing participant in your own destruction. You think you are fighting for love. Wrong. You are fighting for a familiar pain because the unknown scares you more. But see how silence is the ultimate insult operates as a mirror. When you finally stop talking, all the frantic energy fades away, and you are forced to look at your own profound lack of self-respect. You are forced to ask yourself the hardest question. Why do you keep choosing to perform for people who require you to abandon yourself? Fast forward 5 years. Paint the picture of your future if you don't break this pattern right this second. You are sitting in the exact same spot, staring at a different glowing screen, typing a different massive paragraph to a different person who is treating you the exact same way. Your nervous system is fried. Your self-esteem is completely eroded. You are exhausted, bitter, and entirely empty because you spent a decade pouring oceans of words into people who only wanted to watch you drown. Is that what you want? To be the eternal jester performing for an empty throne? If you don't learn how to hold your tongue, the world will continue to chew you up and spit you out. You have to realize that silence is the ultimate insult, and until you are willing to use it ruthlessly to protect your own dignity, you will forever be at the mercy of those who already know how to use it against you. Your complicity ends the exact second your silence begins. You are looking at your screen right now. The video is almost over, and you are standing at a terrifying psychological crossroads. The adrenaline of hearing the truth is going to fade in 10 minutes. And when it does, your phone is still going to be sitting right there on the table. You will have to make a permanent decision about how you exist in the world moving forward. Let's look at option A. You change absolutely nothing. You go right back to the chat thread. You draft another essay. You send another apology for a crime you didn't commit. You spend the next 5 years of your life sweating over read receipts and agonizing over 3-word replies. You become a hollowed-out shell. Your friends stop giving you advice because they are physically exhausted by your endless loop of humiliation. People look at you with pure pity. You become the person who begs for scraps from predators who wouldn't cross the street to save you. Because you refuse to learn that silence is the ultimate insult, you let them insult you until there is nothing left of your identity. Is that the life you want? To be a permanent victim of your own vocal cords? Stop. Let that sink in. Now, look at option B. You put the phone down. You turn off the notifications. And you finally step into your cold, calculating power. You become the ghost. You become the person who is terrifyingly comfortable with the void. When they cross a boundary, you don't scream, you don't cry, you don't write a frantic emotional manifesto. You simply vanish. You pull your energy out of their orbit so fast it leaves them with psychological whiplash. You let them sit in the agonizing quiet of their own toxic consequences. You realize your attention is the most expensive currency you own. You understand that silence is the ultimate insult, and you finally start aiming it at the people who deserve it. This is not about playing a petty game. This is about absolute emotional survival. Here are the specific, ruthless actions you must take the next time they pull away. You do not check their social media. You do not ask mutual friends how they are doing. If they text you a low-effort breadcrumb, you delete the thread without opening it. If they try to provoke you into an argument, you stare at them with dead, indifferent eyes, and you calmly walk out of the room. You do not defend yourself. You do not explain your boundaries. You let the emptiness do all the heavy lifting. This is exactly how silence is the ultimate insult operates as an impenetrable shield. It forces them to choke on their own toxicity. Nobody is going to tell you this, but here is the final, deeply uncomfortable truth. The people who use silence to manipulate you are fully aware of what they are doing. They are actively betting that you are too weak to match their detachment. They are betting that your fear of losing them is far greater than your respect for yourself. Every single time you break the silence, you prove them right. But the exact moment you shut your mouth, the moment you embrace the void, the game immediately ends. Because silence is the ultimate insult, and the only way to win a rigged game is to permanently remove your piece from the board. So, here is your binary choice. You can pick up your phone right now, send that pathetic paragraph, and continue being the jester who talks too much. Or you can lock your phone, step into the quiet, and become the ghost whose absence commands absolute respect. Speak and remain a slave, or go silent and become untouchable. Choose.